Everybody Hates Rand is a Wheel of Time podcast that will contain spoilers for all 14 books. So if you're anti-spoiler, pause this, read all 14 books, and come back. We'll be here, waiting.
Our title is a joke and is meant to be taken as such. In the context of this podcast, everybody refers to us and our cat. You are free to feel however you want about Rand, who is a fictional character. Don't DM us.
The world is a mess, Dark One stretching out his hand. The dragon's reborn, the fire's been fanned, but everybody hates Rand. Everybody hates Rand. Everybody hates Rand.
Anyway, that was an interesting cold open. Who knows if we'll keep that in. But welcome to Everybody Hates Rand, your friendly neighborhood Wheel of Time podcast. I'm Emily Jushaw.
And I'm Sally Goodger.
Welcome to our very professionally opened podcast.
Hell yeah.
We are not immediately going to talk about anyone's sexual activities in this podcast. Maybe we'll get into that later. But that will not be our cold open.
Will not be. I mean, it should be. No, it shouldn't be, because then people will talk to me on Twitter. Also, new EHR policy, if you bring up Thailand on our Twitter, you are legally obligated to give us $10. So.
Oh, Thailand? Yeah. I thought you said Thailand, and I was like...
No, Thailand is pleasant and delightful.
I'd love to hear about Thailand. Have you been there? I'd like to hear about it.
Yeah, tell us about Thailand.
Do you have any historical knowledge about it? I would also like to know that, because I know nothing about
me too.
Thailand's history. Anyway, Thailand, you should need to pay us $10, because I don't want to hear about her, especially if you're not just like, she's a rapist and I hate her.
Yeah, if you want to come on and be like, she's a rapist and I hate her, I'll give you $10.
We will start a fund of people paying us $10 for having dumb opinions about Thailand, and then we'll fund them back to the people who have the correct opinions about Thailand.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's going to be a Thailand barter economy. Okay.
We're here because we completely panicked.
Yeah, this is going to have a weird energy,
We were going over our weekly schedule and realized Sally's going to be gone for the last couple of days and my work schedule's whack, so this is the only time we have to record, in the hour before we go to see Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Actually, we have a lot of time. It's not too late.
But, yeah, so very professional here. Emily did read the chapters. I didn't, nor did I read the chapter summaries.
Read is a generous word. I skimmed. You took a selfie? That's nice.
We took a selfie of you and us. It's on our Instagram. You guys should follow us on Instagram, because I think I'm pretty funny on Instagram story, whether or not anybody else agrees.
I'm completely unaware of Sally posting pictures of me on Instagram, then I'm like, what the hell?
It's
on our story.
Yeah, I don't.
Especially the story. I have no idea. I have no idea how messages, the Instagram story works, and when people reply, how do you see that? It was like, you sent me like a screenshot showing two people's replies to the story a little bit, and was like, how should I respond to these? And one of them I was kind of confused by, because I didn't really understand your question, that it was comments or questions, so I was like, what, is the end of the question somewhere? So I spent about 5 minutes going on Instagram trying to figure out how I could see that screen, and I couldn't. It was like being... this must be what it's like to be a 70-year-old trying to navigate the Wi-Fi. I was like, what the... Oh my god. My grandparents have an Alexa.
No!
It is so fun. Have you seen that SNL sketch about old people doing Alexa? It's super funny. They always call her, different names than Alexa. That are, vaguely, in the same... Yeah. And they just have the dumbest questions. Anyway, that is my grandparents. At one point, my grandpa was talking about about the Nicene Creed, and when the Eastern Orthodox Catholic Church separated from the Roman Catholic Church.
Casual stuff to be talking about with your grandfather.
He was talking about it with my uncle, and I was sort of listening in. He was basically going through my grandpa does this. If he gets on a historical topic, then he feels the need to explain all of the historical context and then what followed. Because he was a professor, although not of history, but that's, the excuse I've made up for him.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was really hilarious because he was getting 80% of history wrong. But also, at one point, he was like, Emily, look up on your thing. He always calls it my thing. It's my phone. Google.
Your thing.
Siri. He was like, ask your thing when the Eastern Orthodox Church separated from the Roman Catholic. I think it was 10:55 or something. And I'm like, oh, that sounds familiar. And I'm, like, slowly Googling it, but getting distracted. And at one point, he's like, have you found that yet? Or should I ask Alexa? And I was like, no.
I got it.
I was like, I got it. It was 10:54. You're fine.
You nailed it, Grandpa.
Anyway, Alexa is terrifying, actually.
I know. Apparently most have 3.
They have 3 Alexas?
They have Alexas and, like, an Echo Dot. Yeah.
I don't like it.
I know, it's the worst.
It really freaks me out.
I don't like it either, because the government is listening. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I'll show you how to use Instagram, because I think when I go to Austin, you should do a social media takeover.
Oh, is that what you want? Okay. I better read Dune this week.
We don't have to. I just think it'd be fun.
Then it'll give you a break.
Yeah.
So
not that I don't love you guys, you just keep talking about Thailand on our Twitter and not giving me $10.
Let me make this very clear. This is going to come out after this weekend, so it will already have been very clear. If you say bullshit about Thailand, I will just block you.
Yeah, and she'll let you know.
I'll let you know. Blocked.
Then
block
reported.
You. Yeah.
Goodbye. What if I just started reporting people?
I don't like this.
Hello, Twitter. I don't like it.
I don't like this. This person is stupid.
Okay. So anyway, look forward to, like Emily said, it'll have come out after we're recording on March 11th, which is when episode 57 came out, because this week is fucked. So if stuff happens this week, apologies that we're not addressing it, but if you haven't already, follow us on social media, because that's where Emily will be hanging out for the next few days.
Hell yeah. Okay.
Doing a really good job, because she's funny.
Fewer Instagram stories, probably, because it never occurs to me to take a picture.
I think they're fun.
I
probably use Instagram stories way too much.
I always see your Instagram stories, and I'm like, this is fun and clever and cute, and I'm like, what? It would just seriously never occur to me to do it.
I just like our social media so much.
You're so cute. Okay,
let's talk about these books.
Fucking chapters. This is the last week before we get a map point of view. We can't
we
do
should,
it.
like, relish in it for a second, because our world's about to be forever changed.
Well, like, have a moment of silence.
Yeah.
Maybe next week between. We have an Edwene point of view, and then a moment of silence, and then map point of view.
We should do a full minute. Everyone observe a moment of silence. So prepare to sit for that moment of silence.
Or fast forward through it.
No.
It's your Oh, yeah. You have to sit.
I'll know. I'm the Alexa listening in your phone. Okay. Emily, tell me what happens in these chapters.
Okay, so first there's a chapter where Edwene and Nynaeve are leaving Swan's study, and they're, like, chatting. It's a very, actually, weird conversation, because Edwene is still kind of taking on this role of younger woman looking to older woman for reassurance and, like, knowledge. Mm-hmm. And it's just so weird, kind of, because where I'm at in the series, actually reading, like, Edwene would never do that, and it would not have occurred to her to do that.
Yeah.
And it's just, like, I guess so wild to me that we are, like, we kind of are vacillating in these chapters between insecure Edwene and wildly secure Edwene.
Yeah.
So, that's a bit of a weird thing going on, but Nynaeve's like, just shut up, let me think, because this is so bizarre, and there's so much going on, and, like, I don't think Swan's telling us everything, and we're in danger, clearly. Edwene's just like, we're in danger. And Nynaeve's like, I agree, but it's also... Edwene's like, are you serious that if we get attacked, you're not gonna kill people with the one power? And Nynaeve's like, yeah, I meant it. Like, I'm gonna try and do this, because it's really important to me that I'm here and, like, learning and become an Aes Sedai. And Edwene's like, what? Since when is that important to you? Literally never heard of her.
Yeah.
And it's like, now Nynaeve has, like, some mysterious reason. And it's just, like, a little bit weird, because it's like, is Edwene just now kind of catching on to the fact, is cottoning on offensive? Okay, I have no idea. Anyway. Okay, we just had a sidebar about the phrase cotton on, because we didn't know if it was offensive or not. I think I've concluded that it's too obscure to be offensive, but... Still probably going to avoid using it just in case.
Who's to say?
Anyway, it's like Edwene's just catching on to the fact that Nynaeve has ulterior motives, kind of, for coming to the White Tower, in terms of her being like, I want to kick Moiraine's ass. Which is, to begin with, a weird ulterior motive.
But isn't it hilarious?
It's deeply hilarious.
I know it's super weird and petty, but it's also like...
It doesn't bother me that it's petty. What kind of bothers me is that it's just, like, never resolved in an interesting way. I feel like Nynaeve, well, I don't know. I need to reread the 14th book again, I think. Because Nynaeve and Moiraine's relationship just sort of gets cut off, you know? Yeah. like, they don't see each other after book 4, and then Moiraine, quote-unquote, dies, and then I guess Moiraine comes back in book 14, and then maybe they have an interesting chat, and I just can't remember it, but
I don't know.
It's just too long to go without a resolution.
Yeah, you're right.
Which I'll talk about regarding a different plot line in a minute, but, so they're just kind of walking back to Edwin's rooms. They were looking for Elaine, and Nynaeve's like, let's just go back to my room, or let's try and find Elaine, or wait for her there. And then Edwin just, like, happens to grab Nynaeve to, like, stop her and be like, no, talk to me. And a crossbow bolt just, like, nicks Edwin's ear in passing. And then Nynaeve, like a badass, just, like, dives and takes Edwin with her because she's cool. And when bullets start flying, she is like, heads up, motherfuckers. So then they're like, oh, fuck. And Nynaeve, like, can't see the person, but she wraps them in air so they can just, like, saunter over and look at them. But, what's this? The man is there, but he's already been stabbed. Like, so he was caught by Nynaeve mid-run, so clearly he wasn't dead before he started running, and then someone came up and stabbed him to kill him so that they couldn't question him. Mm-hmm. So it's like this creepy murder Agatha Christie scene going on here.
And then there were none.
Yeah, and they're just like, what the fucking? And then Shiriam comes up and is like, oh.
That's not shady.
Yeah, it's super shady. It's like ridiculously shady. Especially when you find out in 12 books that Shiriam's actually Black Aja. So it's like, clearly she was behind this.
Yeah. Natch.
Yeah, Natch. She was just like, I'll just stab this
I guess I'll just kill this fuckhead.
And it's like this super suspicious thing, and it's just this weird moment where I think probably in this book they're like, oh, even Shiriam could be Black Aja. And this particular event is suspicious. But then, through the next books, no one ever really worries about it.
Yeah.
And then, you know, when it comes out Shiriam's Black Aja, everyone's just kind of like, da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, no, if you're going to have this incredibly... Like, this is a fun staged scene. It's like this murder mystery setup. And so it's just frustrating to me that this happens, and then in a few chapters they leave the White Tower, and there's no resolution to this.
They're like, who killed that guy? And it's like,
who killed that guy? I don't know, but we're in danger, so we've got to stay on our toes. Like, Robert Jordan, I feel like, just uses the Grey Men specifically because they're these assassins that can basically appear out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And, you know, kill someone, and then just no one notices them. And I feel like he uses them as, like, plot devices to make sure that a boring scene, there's a threat.
Da-da-da-da.
Like, if Matt's gone too long without someone trying to kill him, then he throws in a gray man. And it's like, there's not really a point to that. Like, if you can't give people actual motives, then I don't want to, like, read about it, I guess.
Yeah, the gray men are kind of exhausting as a plot device.
Yeah, which is maybe, like, I guess it's kind of a high fantasy trope that, like, if you have your protagonist doing something, then eventually, like, the way fantasy kind of works is you go through these stages of someone's actively trying to kill our protagonist, then for a while there's a rest, and then someone's actively trying to kill our protagonist.
Yeah.
And it's like he bought too much into that in terms of, well, if I go too, like, someone always has to be trying to kill someone.
Yeah, and, like, we've talked about this on this podcast before, I believe, but, like, in the context of my Lord of the Rings class, have you missed it? It hasn't come up in a few episodes, but here it is again. Talked about the period of, like, and this isn't just for fantasy, like, good fiction should rest on a period of, like, tension. It's, like, stress and rest, like, tension and release, kind of, and so it's, like, there should be these beat scenes, but it shouldn't always just be, like, murder.
Well, it shouldn't be your plot device that if you're, like, oh, I've been in a rest too long, I now need another moment of tension. Like, I feel like what writers struggle with the most is, you read a lot of books where it's clear writers are struggling to find periods of rest, or, like, they can't write rests in a natural way. Like, they always, like, read any James Patterson book. This is what people do. They just, like, can't figure out a way to give our protagonists a break.
Yeah.
And it becomes really exhausting to read. But it's, like, the opposite problem here, where Robert Jordan's just like, oh, yeah, I need to heighten the tension a little bit, so I'll just, like, I don't know, have a weird assassin come and then disappear, and then it's never commented on again.
And then everyone's like, yeah, no big deal.
And it's like, no.
Yeah.
Like, there's enough tension going on here that without like, I don't know, I've been with Edwin this long, I'm gonna stick it out until something else that I actually care about happens.
Till 3 chapters from now when Matt's on the page.
Yeah, or when they walk in and Galad's there and they're just like, oh my god, he's so hot. That's hilarious enough that I'll read anything to get to there.
Honestly, every scene where the girls are just like, ugh.
I know.
He's so hot.
He's so fucking hot.
Good for him.
I know.
I know Galad is an actual dipshit.
Yeah.
But I love him.
The definition. He's so stupid.
I know he is dumb and doesn't exercise any type of critical thought, but...
Yeah.
He's pretty, so...
Yeah, it's kind of nice to see that from a male character.
I know.
He's pretty but stupid. And I wish he would own that more. Instead of being like, he's pretty but ethically, he just doesn't really know what he's doing.
I know. I wish Elaine was just like, my brother's really hot and really dumb.
Yeah, and I wish everyone was just like, he's very pretty and very stupid.
Yeah, I feel like if that was the rhetoric around Galad, there was like 100% increase in the chance that he and Matt end up together.
Yeah, exactly.
Matt's like, this is my idiot boyfriend.
This is my
and
stupid
I love him.
boyfriend. He has the same energy of Paul Rudd in Parks and Rec.
Oh, yeah.
You know, what's that guy's name? The politician who's just like beautiful and kind of charming, but so stupid.
Yeah. He's exactly that.
It's like Bobby Newport.
Yeah, Bobby Newport.
Bobby Newport never had a real job in his life. That's Galad.
That's absolutely.
Galad Damodred never had a real job in his life.
It's true.
Yeah, until he got indoctrinated to Christian terrorism. Anyway, Sally just gazed off into the abyss.
But look at that butt, though.
We've said his butt flag is the peach emoji, right?
Yeah.
That was a whole episode.
I was thinking about that episode the other day. I was like, what's made me laugh the hardest? It might be the butt flag.
That was a good episode. So there's this whole gray man drama, and it's exacerbated by Shiriam being literally the most suspicious a person can be. Yeah. And Nynaeve's like, wow, she didn't even question how that dude got stabbed. And it's like, 'cause she stabbed him, motherfucker. Like, what are you...
She's like, oh no!
And she's like, don't tell anyone about this. And I'm like, why are we so obsessed in the White Tower with keeping murder on the DL?
Yeah.
When has that ever worked out for anyone? I'll hide this murder. That'll work. No. Have you seen an episode of Monk? It never works.
It's true.
He'll find you. Adrian Monk.
Adrian Monk is on the fucking case.
Yeah. Assuming you're in the San Francisco area.
Yeah, he doesn't really travel.
Is that where he is? San Francisco?
Yeah, he's in San Fran. I
Interesting.
really like that show.
I do too.
It's a good one.
I would like to see it in 2019 because I feel like there would be more, San Fran is now more like the queer city of America, and I'd like to see Mr. Monk interacting with the gays more.
It's like what if his assistant, instead of being some pretty blonde lady, was just like a tall drag queen?
Oh my god. Who was just like very helpful in solving murders.
Yeah, it's a tall drag queen and then like the tiniest Ellen Page sized butch lesbian.
Yes. He has 2 assistants.
Alternately, a gigantic butch lesbian and a tiny drag queen. I will accept either.
Either way, it's perfect.
What I really appreciate about Monk...
we fixed Monk, and it's been literal years since it's been on the air.
What I really appreciate about Monk is that his therapist is like a quasi-main character.
Oh, I know.
And I really like his therapist.
And it was really upsetting when his therapist died. And
Spoiler
then Hector
alert for Monk, I guess.
I remember watching the series finale of that show with my family.
Mm.
We were that into Monk.
Monk is fun.
Yeah, Monk's a good show.
But anyway, what were you saying about his replacement therapist?
Just that it was Hector Elizondo, who's also beautiful and perfect.
I know. And I was just like, more shows with good therapists.
Mm-hmm.
I was telling Brie about that the other day. Most of my friends aren't like Emily, where I could be like, here's some literary analysis, and we talk about it. I'm just like, here's some literary analysis, and they're like, okay. And I was like, isn't it so cool that one of the main characters in Monk's a therapist? And they were like watching The Bachelor, and they were like, what? Literally, what just happened? I was asleep by the couch, and I woke up, and I was like, you guys, I have something to say.
Okay.
About Monk.
Interesting scene setting. Asleep by the couch. Monk.
You guys,
Monk.
I don't know why I was thinking about therapy in my dreams. Who isn't?
Honestly.
If I could dream up a good therapist.
Oh my god.
That wasn't a psychological.
That would be a fun literary,
oh yeah.
If you had a character who went to sleep and had, like Ronan Lynch, kind of. If you had a character who had or Edwina Perrin. Who have basically Hopper is a dream therapist.
Oh my god, you are right.
Yeah, so is Brigitte technically. Although then she kind of gets ripped out and is just a real-world sweary therapist bodyguard. Okay, no, she's not a dream therapist. Dream bodyguard. Hopper, though, definitely a dream therapist.
But isn't that a fun twist on the trope?
Yeah.
Instead of a therapist in your dreams, you're dreaming your therapist.
Yeah.
If Ronan Lynch rolled up to his dream forest and there was his dream therapist who was like, Ronan, please.
It would be
stop.
Hilarious because Ronan would, like, rollerblade up and be like, you'll never fucking believe what happened to me this week.
And his little dream therapist that's like a satyr. Oh my god.
Oh my god. In my favorite trilogy of books, The Foxhole Court, which is about a fake sport, and yes, I do love it.
I want to read it, but Emily said there's a lot of torture.
Yeah.
And that I probably wouldn't care for.
And, like, the Yakuza is randomly involved, and it's like, why is this happening? I'm not saying it's good, I'm saying it's one of my favorite series of books.
That's fine.
Anyway, our main love interest boy, who's deeply troubled, loves his therapist.
That's so
And
good.
it's, like, really pure and good. And he, like, buys her things at the airport whenever they travel to away games. He's like, I'm going to buy her a small glass animal to put in her office.
That's really tender.
And our protagonist, who hates therapists because he's also incredibly relatable, is like, I literally can't understand why my boyfriend loves his therapist, but I fully support it.
That's a really tender dynamic.
Right? It's just really good.
It's very good.
A lot of those, one of the reasons I love those books is because it's just, like, comfortable.
Yeah.
Like, despite all the torture, it's just, like, your off scenes are just so, like, everyone's so, like, at peace and happy together. And it's all about people building relationships.
What you're telling me is it's a book that does really well with the stress and rest period.
Yeah, it actually does.
There we go.
It's one of those books that you literally just keep reading. Because you're like, nothing in particular is happening right now, but I am still very invested in what happens next.
So it's a perfect book. Yeah.
They basically are perfect books.
Yeah. Their covers are really bad, though.
They're really terrible. God bless America.
There's
a whole plot point at the end of the first book where they go on a talk show because they're, like, college athletes, and they're, like...
That's bizarre.
Yeah, but they're, like, the big college athletes, and Kevin is, like, a major college athlete. Like, everyone's been obsessed with him since he was a child or something. Anyway, he goes on this talk show, and then the protagonist, Neil, is also with him randomly. Neil's like, I hate this and would rather be dead than be on a talk show. And everyone's like, shut the fuck up, Neil. You're going on this talk show. He's like, I hate you. Anyway, then the talk show host brings out Kevin's nemesis, who broke his hand and is basically the villain of the series. And he's just, like, being really shady and snide. And Neil, basically on live television, is like, listen to me, fuck you. And his love interest at that moment is like, fuck.
It's like,
I love that boy. Can't keep his mouth shut. I found my boyfriend.
That's my boyfriend!
Andrew's like, that's my boyfriend!
And everyone is like, Andrew, please sit down.
I'm incredibly high. Anyway, I'm going to delete all of that.
Incredibly high?
Yeah, he's on antipsychotics, and so he's high for most of the first 2 books.
Antipsychotics are scary.
Yeah, they're really scary. I learned a lot about antipsychotics from those books.
They're educational.
Yeah,
they have a positive
everything.
Therapy. It's about sports and gays and the Yakuza.
And the Yakuza! It has everything.
It has everything.
The Yakuza.
Antipsychotics.
Gays.
Therapies. Oprah.
A good sports coach dad.
Buses.
Literally,
girls.
there's a plot point where he is someone's dad.
Nice.
Yeah, good for him. Can't remember his first name. David, maybe? Who knows?
They're all Dave.
Yeah, every sports coach is named Dave.
Did you know that? Every sports coach is named Dave.
It's a real shame I'm going to have to put all that in the blooper
It's the
reel.
Dave Lombardi trophy.
Okay. What the fuck were we talking about?
This whole episode is a blooper reel.
I know, fuck.
Go backwards.
Okay, therapy, monk, murder mysteries.
Don't hide a murder.
Yeah, don't hide a murder. Okay, it's just really stupid that they hide this murder.
Yeah.
Anyway, then they go and find Elaine in Nynaeve's room. And who else should be there but Gawain and Galad, just, like, lounging in Nynaeve's room.
Galad's like, oh, hey, girl.
No, literally, Galad sees Edwin and is like, hello, and, like, kisses her hand and is like...
Enchanté.
Yeah, enchanté, mademoiselle. He's just like, hello.
I mean, Galad is technically half Kyrianan, so he is
He
a
does
fancy
have
French boy.
big French energy, yeah.
Galad does have big French energy.
He does, actually, yeah.
Probably bad at war.
Mm-hmm.
A little dumb.
Yeah.
Very hot.
Very hot. This is so stupid.
But, like, slender hot, you know? Like, just, like, slender and lithe and, like, probably bendy.
Yeah, Adrian's just like, oh, hello.
Adrian's like, I'm very sweaty all of a sudden.
Adrian's, like, sweating and, like, smoothing her skirts. Anyway, they're all like, we're just here to talk about how Elaine left and she won't tell us anything. And everyone's like, well, that's her prerogative. What, like, you guys don't have a right to know what.
Yeah.
I don't know. Technically, they do have a... I don't... Like, where's the line between when your family has a right to know what you've been doing? It's like Elaine's 16 or whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like her brother does probably have
like,
a right to know where she's been.
Yeah.
Not because he's, like, her guardian or whatever, but because he's her sibling. And when you're in a family, you have an obligation to tell each other.
Ahana means family.
Yeah. Family means no one gets left behind except Galad. Because no one likes him, apparently.
Oh, it's so sad.
Well, Gawain does.
Yeah, Gawain's like, that's my brother.
Gawain's like, that's my bro.
He's stupid, but I love him.
Yeah, again, Galad would be... Gawain would be a much better character if he was like, I've just been protecting my stupid brother. Since my stupid older brother since we were infants.
And he's like, and this is my lot in life. I have an idiot older brother and a dipshit younger sister.
Who literally everyone wants to assassinate. And honestly, I can see why.
If I was Gawain, I'd be like, okay.
Killer.
If you can do it, go for it.
Yeah. If you can get past me, then you deserve to kill
He's
her.
like,
oh, dang.
Doesn't fight very hard.
Aw.
Drops his sword. Oh, no.
Oh, no,
You've
Butterfingers. So then basically the really funny part of this conversation is Nynaeve is like, you guys need to get out. And they just, like, ignore. She's like, this is my room and I would like you guys to leave. And they just ignore her because they're men and stupid.
Natch.
And so a second later, Nynaeve's like, okay, listen to me. Elaine doesn't have to tell you shit, first of all. Second of all, did you even ask permission to be here? No. And I'm gonna tattle on you and you're gonna get beat within an inch of your lives because you're fucking stupid. So you have until the count of 3 to get out. And then they're like, well, we're not afraid of that. And she's like, 1. And they're like, we're not afraid. She's like, 2. And they're like, bye. She, like, draws out 3 to get... Anyway, it's really iconic big sister energy.
Yeah, Nynaeve is such a big sister.
Galad, like, pauses to flirt with Edwene, and Nynaeve's like, 2, and he's like, I'm sorry, goodbye.
Enchanté.
Enchanté, mademoiselle.
What a stupid French loser. I want to give him a little beret.
Ooh, like a little mustache?
I can't get in on mustaches of any type.
Curly?
No.
You're right, it would ruin his hotness a little bit.
Yeah, it would bring him down at least a full 50 points.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, he's got them to spare, but...
That's true. He'd still be at 1,080.
So his total is 1,130. You guys heard it here first. Galad's hotness total is 1,130.
Well, off the normal scale, which is 10, so...
That's just... Well, that's it. We've made the scale now. Place someone between 10 and 1,130.
So they leave, and then Elaine's like, okay, well, what were you guys doing? And Edwine's like, well, we're not really supposed to tell you. And Nynaeve's like, we've been assigned to hunt the Black Aja. And Edwine's like, Nynaeve, she told us not to tell anyone. Mm-hmm. And Nynaeve's like, listen to how much I care about what this Amerlin Sea tells
Which
me
is,
to
like...
do.
Mad respect.
Yeah, she also makes the valid point that, like, apparently she and Edwene are targets, they just almost got killed, etc. So, like, maybe if they bring Elaine in on it, then that'll give them a slight advantage.
Yeah.
But it's also, like, you'd have to be stupid to be an Aes Sedai and be like, oh, these 3 girls aren't, like, in each other's pockets all the time.
Yeah.
Like, I always automatically... It's, like... A really pure thing about girls is that they do this thing where it's like, I won't tell anyone, but you're like, I know you will tell your best friend. Mm-hmm. And it's like, every girl has their best friend that they tell everything to.
Yeah.
And it's like, these 3 girls are like, don't tell anyone, but we will tell Elaine.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So basically then they're like, okay, well, oh, Nynaeve's like, I don't think they're gonna heal Matt. Like, for whatever reason, I think they're just gonna let him die. And everyone's like, okay. Basically, Nynaeve's being, like, on par in terms of...
Yeah, her political maneuvering.
Yeah, she's just perfect. Like, she's got it on lock. She knows what's happening. She's like, okay, so we've just gotta go heal Matt ourselves. And they're like, we can't do that. Otherwise, we would have been able to do it. And Nynaeve's like, well, gotta try. Anyway, I would actually find it really interesting if Nynaeve and Edwene and Elaine managed to form a circle, which is kind of what their plan is, and then used their incredible amount of power to just, like, healed Matt.
Yeah.
Like, that would be a really cool scene,
Frankenstein get back to life.
Yeah.
Especially because Nynaeve is, like, nuclear healer.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, sure.
But I guess Robert Jordan was like, no, it's too soon for Nynaeve to be like, look at me doing the unprecedented.
Look at me making Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Matt.
Who basically, he does have actually a lot of Frankenstein plots.
Interesting. I was thinking about that while you were talking about the plot, which I didn't read.
That's okay.
But yeah, isn't that kind of interesting?
Yeah, it is. Matt, just like a creature.
Oh boy! Now you guys know what you're getting, a full episode about Frankenstein. Yeah. You didn't ask for it, but you will get it. It will be hosted exclusively by me, because Emily will just be crying, because we're doing this again.
We'll be crying.
Please, Sally, we can't keep doing this.
We can't keep doing this. Frankenstein, now! Please, Sally, we can't keep doing this. Oh, God. Yeah, now I'm going to be thinking about that for a while.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
A little creature.
Mishmashed.
Doesn't really belong.
Yeah. Holes in his memory.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
He does have some interesting monster discourse.
He does. Let's talk about that when we get to Matt finally. God. Our next episode's going to be so long just because we'll be like, now we have to talk about everything about Matt that we've been withholding.
I know. I'll start the episode by weeping hysterically.
Hard to believe that we've been withholding anything about Matt because he's all we talk about for the last 57 episodes. But
because we love him.
Once he has points of view, boy, wait.
Gonna get real horny for that boy.
So they're about to go heal Matt, and then Aleda just, like, walks in without knocking and is like, here I am to vaguely threaten you all. It's a very annoying sequence, as all scenes with Aleda are, where it's just like, she's being a bitch, and no one has any power to call her out on it. And it's like, you really just want, when characters are being stupid and bitchy, for someone to be like, shut the fuck up. Yeah. Like, there's nothing more satisfying than that. For someone to just be like, shut down. Fuck you.
Yeah, canceled.
Yeah, but fuck no one ever does that to
Aleda. I was talking to my brother. Perry's really into, like, leadership books and stuff, and, like, thinking about leadership. And he shared the phrase courage over comfort with me yesterday, and, like, saying the uncomfortable things in, like, meetings.
Oh, that's stuff. Interesting.
Yeah, and we were talking about that, and I just was like, yeah, courage over comfort. Somebody clock Aleda in the face.
I know, like, yeah, and then just the problem, and Edwene is like, any one of us could, like, if we took her by surprise, just, like, fucking take her out.
Yeah.
But we can't, because then we'd get kicked out of the White Tower for insubordination. My thought was, like, I'm just really not into how much hierarchy and power structures influence all the Aes Sedai interactions.
Yeah.
Because they really just are frustrating. There's not much point to them.
Yeah.
It then becomes, I don't know, it's like a nice thing finally when our girls start, like, taking ownership and then being the ones kind of in charge, but it's, like, not rewarding enough for me to, like, want to put up with it for the first 7 books or however long it takes them to get there.
Well, yeah, especially because, like, any instance, I mean, and this is true of power in general, like, any instance of one single person having power is at the cost of another person not having power.
Yeah.
And that's so obvious with the Aes Sedai's, like, weird little hierarchy of, like, who can channel the most, and how that influences literally every single interaction that Aes Sedai have with each other, whether or not politics or safety or magic are involved.
Yeah, like, the word deference is used constantly. Yeah. Like, who do we defer to? Because who is basically... And it's, like, this weird alpha male thing, because it's also, like, reliant on power. Mm-hmm. Like, you defer to the guy who has, I don't know, the biggest masculine energy, the biggest, buffest guy in the room. And it's, like, in this world, we are deferring to the woman who has the most power. Mm-hmm. And that's just, like, really weird. Like, it is rewarding in book 7 when Elaine and Nynaeve finally get sick of it and are like, hey, listen, I am more powerful than you, and just because you don't necessarily agree with the fact that I've been promoted doesn't mean, like, doesn't mean that I'm gonna put up with it, and there's nothing you can do about it. And everyone's kind of like, okay, fine, and, like, deals with it. Like, that's a cool, like, great, I'm into that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also just into the idea of people standing up for themselves in general.
Yeah.
I find it, another book I've been reading is about a girl in, like, I don't know, 12th century Russia or something. So, like, the situation is not great for her.
Mm-hmm.
But she just speaks her mind and is really eloquent about it and just, like, speaks to people in a way that is really powerful, I guess. And it's just, like, I really like it. Every one of her interactions with people who should have power over her are really rewarding because she doesn't just, like, defer to them or fear them or anything. She's just, like, we are equal. She automatically assumes that we are equals in the conversation. And if you don't, then that's your problem.
Yeah.
And it's just, like, a really cool quality for a female character to have.
Yeah.
And so I just wish that, I wish the real world was like that people didn't have to feel like, oh, the CEO's here and I have to defer to him. Like, I wish people could be like, here's my boss, he's an idiot. Hey, boss, you're doing something stupid.
Yeah.
I don't agree with this, but instead we all have to, I don't know.
Defer. Yep.
So basically it just annoys me because it's also a real world thing.
Yeah, and it's just, like, again, with, like, fantasy, it'd be interesting to see it explored with a little bit different lens. Yeah. And, like, what are some ways that we could make the White Tower a little more democratic? It'd be interesting. It'd just be interesting.
And it seems to be veering in that direction.
Yeah.
Once Edwin gets into power and starts kind of being like, everyone should maybe have a chance to speak their mind. But, I don't know. Through these first few books, it's just super duper annoying.
Yeah.
But anyway, Aleda's questioning them, and they mostly manage to dodge her questions, and kind of when they do reach a question that they can't dodge about Rand, then Shiriam just happens to walk in and be like, oh, hey, we're going to take you to see your friend get healed. Because that's the tradition in the White Tower. If you bring someone to get healed, then you get to witness them being healed.
It's such an interesting
tradition. I know,
it's
an interesting tradition. It's like saying, here, your surgeon invites you to the operating room to be like, check this out.
It's like that weird medical theater they used to do in the, like, medieval-ish.
So that's basically those chapters. I don't know, in terms of analysis, if there's much more to say.
Just like a random thought I had, and this thought is prompted by Sarah McClintock's wonderful thesis about building fantasy worlds through costume, which we were lucky enough to be able to read. And she quotes George Lucas, who it's like, I'm not gonna always reference George Lucas as a good world builder, but he has this quote where it's like, you have to, like, build the world before you can play around in it. And so, like, the idea is that, like, the first... I mean, he doesn't say this. This is me extrapolating, so don't think that I'm citing George Lucas beyond what I just did. But the idea that, like, the first book or the first movie in a series has to lay so much groundwork in order of, like, world building. And we think of, like, all these expedition dumps and stuff. But it's also interesting to think of in the context of, like, Wheel of Time, where the first books work so hard to, like, set up this structure just for, like, our characters to sort of, like, burn it down.
Yeah.
And so it's just, like... It would just be, like, there seems to be a really stark division. Like, there's not a whole lot of, like, political or social change happening before our characters get involved in things. Mm-hmm. And just the idea that, like, the world is built so that our characters can play around with the social structure as opposed to, like,
that
the
is
social
kind of
structure
interesting.
being a little bit more living.
Like, as the kids set out kind of in their adventure, there's the idea that the world is on the verge of something. Mm-hmm. And then it's just the idea then that they are what happens after the verge. Yeah. Like, the world is ready to change, but it's not going to change until Swan gets kicked out and Edwin steps in, you know?
Yeah.
Like, that's when major change happens.
Yeah, until Rand is proclaimed the Dragon Reborn.
Yeah.
Until, you know, Nynaeve can heal Logain, or all these crazy things. And, like, I know there are instigators to every moment of social change. It's not like social systems are systems, but they're also people in the system. So you can't really say a social system is living without specific people doing specific things, but it's just like, and, you know, this is kind of fiction's problem, where, of course, we're focused on protagonists, and so the protagonists have to do things. But it's just like, interesting to see the power structure set up in such obvious ways, like how frustrating the White Tower sequences are, just so that we have something to like put our girls' choices and actions against. So
yeah, it's kind of like the first book in the series is just like a tour of the set.
Yeah,
like a tour of the the set design, and then as we get further into book 3, this book is all about everyone taking kind of the final steps into power.
Yeah.
Like, most obviously with Rand, but we get Nynaeve, Elaine, and Edwene stepping away from the White Tower and going on this path that is, like, ultimately, like, Nynaeve and Elaine don't return to the White Tower after this.
Yeah.
Except for, I think, maybe a quick visit to become Aes Sedai.
Yeah.
Really later on. And, like, Edwene doesn't get back until book 12 or whatever. Mm-hmm. So, just this weird idea that, like, they now have the tools and are, like, on that way. And, you know, Matt and Perrin arguably wouldn't ever be in power without Fail, as much as that kind of bothers me.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like she's the one who's like, step up, loser. We're going shopping.
Going shopping for a kingdom, my good bitch.
Yes. And Matt kind of, I don't know,
Matt,
as always, is a little different.
Matt is always defies categorization.
Yeah, Matt is always a little bit, like, a couple steps behind everyone else, which is interesting.
Look, it's the McAfee.
McAfee? Who knows?
McCafe.
McCafe!
Hey! We solved the mystery. We solved the McMystery.
Okay, well, that's all I have to say about that.
I know, kind of a weird episode.
Yeah. Kind of have been for the last few episodes.
Welcome to the Dragon Reborn.
Weird episodes galore.
Yeah, it's letting us, what's happening?
Well, Twitter stuff?
Yeah. Okay. Ugh, Ethan. You're so good. I love you, Ethan. We have many Ethans. Actually, I'm now moving into housekeeping.
Oh, okay. We're moving into housekeeping.
Is that okay? Is there anything else you want to say?
No, yeah. Good. Go for it.
So there's just a good transition because I want to say thank you to, we got 2 new patrons this week. Ethan, different Ethan than last week, so as we're now officially on a quest to collect all Ethans, so if your name is Ethan, you have to support us on Patreon. I'm sorry, it's a legally binding contract. Take it up with your parents. And, I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh, and Yo, both at $5.
Yo.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Oh, yeah.
I'm laughing because I love it, not because I'm laughing at you. I think you're amazing.
It's incredible. Yo.
I also want to do just a quick Patreon PSA. We're $37 away from meeting our most recent monthly goal, which will enable us to get some new and actually functional audio editing software for Emily, which will improve the listening experience for everyone, but more importantly, once we meet that goal, we'll be pretty squared away on, like, equipment and things that we need to keep the podcast running, which means we can turn our sights towards doing some fun things like merch, or maybe going to JordanCon next year, which we can't do this year because both of us make 25 cents an hour. So, if you're loving the podcast, and you want a Larry sticker, like I know you all do, you should consider supporting us on Patreon, because there's lots of fun rewards, and honestly, even just supporting us at $1 a month means so much and can make a huge difference and make huge contributions. So all contributions are valued and valid, and we love you. I want to give some shout outs this week to Matthew on Instagram, who drew another amazing Larry and then took it a step further and also drew Jeremy and Stephanie. And
it's
like,
God, I've been laughing about it for
so
days.
Good. So if you haven't seen it, go check it out. It's posted on our Patreon feed. Oh my God. Our Instagram feed, and it's really funny and really good. And we wanted to thank Reagan, who made a really fun Wheel of Time playlist, which is on our Twitter. We retweeted it there, and it's got all the classics, including Tub Thumping, if you're missing it.
Oh, yeah.
And to Michaela, who made us the most amazing wooden sign that is going to be hanging on our wall as soon as Emily can get to the THD.
Right next to Hosier.
Yes. Michaela. And some beautiful sharks. So you're in good company.
Our Anne and I watched The Meg on the way to Seattle. It was hysterical. I cannot emphasize this enough. Stop this podcast and go watch The Meg. It's a Jason Statham movie about the megalodon, the giant shark. It is so funny. Sally is looking at me with absolute disdain, but it was a riot. Anyway, I'm done.
Okay.
Talk about your stuff again.
And another amazing thank you to Glyna McKenzie, who made our fabulous new theme song, which you heard at the beginning of this episode because you're not a first-minute skipper.
Yeah, thank you.
You can head over to the EHR blog where Glyna was kind enough to answer some questions, and you can learn a little bit more about her and where you can find the rest of her stuff on the internet, including her amazing EP. So go check her out.
That's going to do it for us.
Got a submitted sign-off this week
from
someone who requested to be anonymous, although this could be me. This has Big Sally energy.
Okay,
so
interesting.
So let's hear it. So they wrote, in college I was taking a historical politics class. I went to an art school. The bar for electives was unsurprisingly low, which is something I was always interested in. The teacher was all right and would offer extra credit for doing papers on various topics throughout the semester. Since I was very interested in the subject matter, I did most of all the extra papers because I felt like I really learned a lot by researching and writing about these extra topics. I did earn extra credit on top of doing all right in the class. This meant I had more than 100% grade. I sat down in class to do the midterm. The room is silently waiting, and the teacher starts to pass out the tests. He stops at my desk and proclaims loudly, "Why are you here?" I answer very quietly, "To take the test?" To which he responds even louder, "You don't need to take the test. Your current grade is like 150%. Why are you sitting at this desk?" Borderline anger. I then grabbed my bag and ran as the whole class laughed.
Oh no.
So that's so sad.
That is so sad. But also, good for you.
I know, right?
You're the hero of that story, yeah.
Sorry your teachers are a douchebag.
There's no such thing as overachieving.
That's true.
Just achieving extremely well.
Yes, I was about to say the exact same thing, Emily.
Yeah, were you?
Yeah.
Okay.
My verbal dyslexia is kicking in real bad every time I have to read something.
Sure.
Verbal dyslexia is not a thing.
And now it is.
Just see?
Verbal Alexa. Alexa,
end this episode.
End this episode. Fuck me. Have a good week.
Bye.